Yo, Dragon Ballers, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the set 15 blue Kale cards and why I think they are competitively useless. Now that's not to say that if you're a fan of Kale you shouldn't play this deck, especially at a casual or local level, but I think competitively there are just better blue ramp options. Not to say that I don't like a lot of the cards that are in the Kale archetype. There are actually quite a few of them that I think are very good cards, but overall I don't think this is going to be better than a deck than like SS4 Vegeta, but I am actually very open to being proven wrong about this. But we'll get into the video. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video, and if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways to do so down in the description. But today guys, if you're looking for custom sleeves, playmats, TCG accessories like that, even foil playmats, use the link in the description to yourplaymat.com. It will get you 10% off your order. I know so many players have been getting their stuff from yourplaymat.com and they absolutely love the products, so make sure to get yours. Again, 10% off with the link in the description. Let's get into the video. Alright, so we'll cover the leaders. So the Unawakened side, when this card attacks, draw one. At the end of your turn, place up to one card under this card in your energy in rest mode, and there are several effects that put cards under it that we'll see. When you place to 4 or less, draw one card, switch one energy to active mode, and flip this card over. So besides the fact that it does place a card underneath itself in the energy, it's a very plain leader, and I feel like I haven't talked about this much recently, but I know I used to talk about it a lot more back in previous formats and previous sets. But there has to be so much front loaded into your leader when you're looking at like the most competitive decks, right? The most competitive decks, the leader carries a lot of what the deck does, and of course there's powerful battle cards, extra cards, unison cards in the decks as well, but this leader is a little bit plain, especially when we get to the Awakened side. So attack, draw a card, same thing at the end of each player's turn. Now you can place a card under this in your energy and rest mode. So there are some sequences you can take that put 2 cards under your leader instead of 1, so you can ramp both during your turn and your opponent's turn. And then activate battle once per turn. This card gets plus 5,000 power for the battle for each card under it, so you can get like a free 5k combo, I guess, but again, it's not really all that incredible, at least as far as what the leader is doing. But we know we're playing a blue ramp strategy, so we're going to be doing a lot of comparison in this video to SS4 Vegeta, which we know has been a successful blue ramp deck in this format. Keep in mind though, blue overall has taken a hit with the Galactic Buster engine being errated to Bojack leaders only, so that is going to be a thing to keep in mind for SS4 Vegeta, but we'll still talk about comparisons as to why you might want to play Kale versus why you might want to play SS4 Vegeta. So we have the Unison for the deck, and it kind of has its own strategy revolving around it. So SS Caulifla, Spirited Striker. We have a 2-drop 15k, activate main, +1. This card gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. Then choose one of your opponent's battle cards, energy cost of 2 or less, and return it to the owner's hand. +1, really not all that amazing. The -3 is actually pretty decent though. So if your leader is a blue Kale card and you have 5 or more energy, you may place this card under your leader card. If you do, play up to 1 Kefla with 30,000 power or less from your deck, then shuffle your deck. So I have actually been testing Kale, and honestly, I don't really cast this Unison for 2. I usually just cast it for 4 and use the -3. And the reason I cast it for 4 is because there's a weird ruling that if you -3 this, it's immediately going to go to the drop area, meaning you can't resolve the rest of the effect. So you actually have to have 4 markers on the Unison to resolve the -3, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, I do end up casting this thing more for 4 than I ever actually do for 2, and then trying to uptick it. Of course, there are matchups where you can play it for 2 and then start upticking it, and you know your opponent can't really deal with it. That's a good time to do that, but a lot of times a 15k +1 Unison that doesn't really have any other protection, you're going to want to just cast it for 4, use the -3. And there are some cool Keflas you can bring out from the deck with this effect. So Kefla Unending Evolution is one that is coming out in the new set. So it's dual attack. You can Union Potara over a Caulifla and a Kale, but really you don't want to because of the auto. When this card's played from your deck, draw a card, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards and place it at the bottom of the owner's deck. So you only get this effect when it's played from the deck, which is honestly a restriction that I really hate, because it gives you no incentive to even want to Union Potara it. Like, I just don't like it. I really don't like that. Activate main, pay 2 blue. If your leader is a Universe 6 card and your opponent has 4 or more energy, place this card at the bottom of the owner's deck. If you do, choose up to 1 blue Kefla with energy cost of 8 in your hand and play it. So there's some pretty cool targets you have for that. There's the new blue-yellow Kefla in the main set, and there's also the Vegito, Kefla, Zamasu, Power Patora SCR, so those are all playable in this deck. But I found with Kale, you really want to keep it mono blue. Like another Kefla you can bring out off of Spirited Striker, for example, is the Aegis Kefla, which I think is actually a very powerful card. But to resolve the Aegis, you have to be playing some number of blue yellows, which I've just found mono blue works best in the deck, and I never really want to have that many blue yellows, but that's just my thing with it. Energetic Frenzy Kefla is another Kefla you can play off of Spirited Striker, which is actually an older card, came out in a draft box. I will say, cheating this card out is pretty good. So it's basically got Unique, another permanent that reduces the cost of this card by 1 for each blue battle card you control, and then activate main once per turn, draw 2 cards, then start of your opponent's next main phase, choose 2 blue energy, and switch them to active mode. So you can actually play this thing for 3 from your hand, so playing too many copies of it is not too bad of a thing, but you can also cheat out Spirited Striker. So that's cool, but overall this engine is kind of lackluster in my opinion, at least competitively, because you are playing a ramp deck, and we'll get to the ramp cards in just a second. But like, would you rather play Spirited Striker and then one of these vulnerable Keflas, or would you rather play like a Boo Unison on turn 3? That's kind of the questions you have to ask yourself. But anyways, we're gonna get into the cards that actually ramp the deck, but real quick before we do that, just a word from today's video sponsor. Dragon Ballers, real quick, PPG is going to be hosting the Pro Support TCG weekend in Dallas, Texas, the weekend of November 6th. It's going to be a giant TCG convention weekend hosting all your favorite games, obviously Dragon Ball Super, Digimon, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and more. Tournaments for all of those. I'm actually going to be there commentating the Dragon Ball Super side of things, the main event on Saturday, the side events on Sunday. I absolutely cannot wait. And if you guys missed out on Gen Con or heard me talk about how much fun that was, you're 110% going to want to be at the Pro Support TCG weekend. The other great thing too is it's just 2 weeks before Nationals, the biggest Dragon Ball Super tournament of the year, so you get some invaluable practice there. But besides that, it's a convention. It's going to be so much fun, especially for those of you guys like me that just absolutely love trading card games. Definitely check it out. The link to sign up will be in the description. I really hope to see you guys there. Now let's get into the video. Yes, guys, the Pro Support TCG weekend, I'm going to be commentating, and I'm very excited. I hope to see you there. But anyways, let's get into that cards that actually ramp you up. So firstly, we have Kale Ready to Fuse. Not a ramp card, but it is a starter card for the deck. When this card's played, look at top 5 cards of your deck, add up to 1 blue U6 with an energy cost of 3 or less, or 1 blue Unison card with a specified cost of 2 among them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. We finally got another card that searches 2-drop Unisons for blue, which is incredible because Zeno is a really good Unison in blue. Maybe not absolutely necessary in this deck because I think you ramp enough, but it is a nice card to have. Activate main once per turn, pay a blue, look at top 3 cards of your deck, add up to 1 blue Caulifla or Kefla among them to your hand, then place the remaining cards at the bottom of the deck in any order. I really do like how this has an alternate effect that lets you use additional energy, because sometimes with so much energy you just don't have ways to use it. So I do like this extra blue effect to help you fish for more cards. But anyways, we have Caulifla Universe 6 combination and Caulifla Rapid Riposte. So they both have the same activate main that I'll read real quick. Pay 2 of any color. If your leader's a blue Kale card, place this card under your leader card from your hand, and then you can't play non-U6 battle cards with 35,000 power or less for the game, but you can still play tokens. So you are very heavily restricted in the cards that you can play once you start ramping with these, because you put them on your leader and then your leader will put them into the energy area at the end of a turn. So again, you're very restricted. So right off the bat, you have to notice that even if the Bojack stuff was still unlimited, you could not play it in this deck. You have to notice that you can't play Android 17 Turning the Tide. You can't play Fu Shrouded in Mystery. Those are really big drawbacks. You can still play Baby Hatch, which is pretty good, but yeah, you are very restricted in the types of boss monsters you can play, which that kind of makes SS4 Vegeta just existing better than this deck. You know, SS4 Vegeta, you can maybe say it's a little bit more difficult for them to ramp because they actually have to have an attack go through, as where your deck just has 8 objections. Like, your opponent can't stop you from using these cards in a ramp. Vegeta, like, maybe your opponent can block the leader attack or combo out of the leader attack, which is very difficult to do, to be honest, if they have the ISR, Ultra Instinct, Kamehameha. But yeah, like, some formats where blockers are very prevalent early, SS4 Vegeta can have a rough time, but that's not the case really this format. So when you're comparing the two, SS4 Vegeta ramps easily enough and has access to better battle cards, which is why I was kind of thinking they would ban Tide and maybe even ban the SS4 Vegeta leader if they were going to have like a bigger ban list. Not that I think SS4 Vegeta should have been banned, but Tide I definitely think should have been banned. Android 17 Turning the Tide should have definitely gotten the ban hammer. But regardless, that does make this deck a little bit less competitive than Vegeta in my opinion. But anyways, for the autos on the Cauliflas, play it, draw 1 on Universe 6 combination, and then Caulifla Rapid Riposte. I actually really like this card. It's a 3-drop 15k with Deflect, activate main limit 1. If your leader is a blue U6 card, you have 2 or more energy, play this card from your hand and draw 1. This is a 1-drop 15k attacker that replaces itself, kind of like Goku Calamity Challenger. I think this will actually be really good in Kava, which we will talk about at some point this week. I think Kava is much more of an aggressive version of U6, where Kale is much more like a control ramp version. But yeah, very good card in my opinion. Then finally, we have a few of the SRs as well as another Kale Floodgate. So firstly, I'll talk about Sister's Determination. This is a 1-drop counterattack. Now pay attention to the wording here. If your leader card is a U6 card, negate the attack, then you may choose 1 blue card in your hand and discard it. If you do, your opponent can only attack 1 more time for the turn with a battle card or unison card with 20,000 power or more. So within the judge community, the way this card actually works is being discussed and debated. It's worded very poorly in the sense that I feel like it can be interpreted 2 ways. Either your opponent can only attack 1 more time for the turn, period, and that card they attack with has to be a battle card or unison card with 20,000 power or more, or they can attack with anything below 20,000 power as much as they want, and they only get 1 more attack with a unison or battle card with 20,000 power or more. If you kind of get what I'm saying, the 2 differences there. One way makes this card very, very powerful, which would actually be a good reason to play Kale in like an aggro format, because the way where your opponent can literally only attack 1 more time for the turn, it has to be a battle card or unison card. That makes this like almost like a dormant potential unleash and almost like a mini baby hatch. Like that version of the card would be absolutely insane. The other version, your opponent can attack with small things as much as they want and only get 1 more big card attack. That's still okay, obviously much worse, but yeah, many judges are debating how this card works, and I guess we'll have to wait for the official FAQ. But anyways, activate battle limit 1 if it's your opponent's turn. Choose one of your cards, gets 10,000 power for the battle, then choose 1 mono blue energy and switch to active mode. So if you have excess copies in your hand, it is basically a free 10k combo, which is kind of nice. SS Kale, Universe 6 combination, counterattack, permanent. If your leader card is a Universe 6 card and it's your opponent's turn, reduce energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So it's a 1-drop counterattack. Auto, if your leader's a blue Kale card, when this card's played, choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. If you do, your opponent can't attack with battle cards with energy cost greater than the current energy for the turn unless they choose 2 cards in their hand and place them at the bottom of their deck each time. So Kale gets a Heroic Prospect Trunks, which is kind of nice because obviously with the restrictions for ramping, you can't play Heroic Prospect Trunks. But you have your own in archetype version that doesn't care if you have a unison in place. So that is kind of a nice thing. And then finally, Kale Rampaging Demon is an absolutely insane card, but there's nothing stopping you from playing it in SS4 Vegeta, so it's probably going to be better in that deck. But anyways, we'll read it. Deflect, double strike. When this card's played without using skills, choose 1. Choose all your opponent's battle cards with energy costs greater than 3 or more. Place them at the bottom of the owner's deck. And if your leader card is a blue Kale card, place up to 1 card from the top of your deck under your leader card. Or if you have 7 or more energy, choose all your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier, place them at the bottom of the owner's deck, and this card gains barrier and dual attack for the turn. So this is the main top end of the deck. I very, very much like this card. It's very powerful. You really want to be casting it for 7 energy, getting the total board wipe, barrier, dual attack. The barrier is actually super relevant too because we're getting a lot more things that actually remove battle cards during battle. Like Boo Unison's a big example of that. This card is very safe against Boo Unison. So overall, an incredible card. But yeah, the deck overall, guys, I just don't see much reason to play it competitively while SS4 Vegeta is a thing. But casually, I think this will actually be a very, very fun deck. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.